All right, hello, welcome everybody to this Division 3 race. We are in Singapore today for the Singapore Grand Prix. It's round 13 out of 16, so we're approaching the end of the season. And I'm ISRL Knight in the booth with ISRL Mushroom bringing you this Singapore Grand Prix. And we've got a almost packed lobby, 16 drivers on the grid right now, hopefully more joining during qualifying, and we've got a short qualifying session ahead of us. So, Mushroom, if you're with me here, can you just take us through a little bit what to expect out of this imposing street circuit?
Well, it's definitely one of the longest races on the calendar, so the drivers are going to be looking for a focused, clean race. The walls are very close, so car preservation is king here, and you want to have a good strategy on the mediums, because I'm thinking it's going to be maybe a one-stop or a two-stop today, depending on if you go from medium to hard or medium to off medium.
Yeah, we've got a couple medium tire runners already, at least early in this qualifying session. I don't think you'd want to set your lap time on the mediums this early if you intend on starting the race on them, just because of the track rubbering up as quali goes on and lap times dropping. But still, always Rick, Monkeys, and Bacher all with the medium tires fitted. And we've already got some people in the stream. Hello, guys. Thank you for watching. Cohen saying hello. As usual, he's always in here. And Hartman, who is in the pits right now in the Red Bull, saying hello to everybody. So thank you guys for tuning in. We've not have any lap times set just yet. Seems like everybody's on their out lap. Always Rick starting his flying lap, though. And it's quite... there's some corners around here that's quite easy to invalidate your time, go wide or cut if you're not careful. And some other corners around this track where the wall is so close that if you go wide or cut, you're going to end up damaging your car. So it's a good balance of trying to take as much of the track as possible around this circuit and not ruin any lap times there. You see the purple at the bottom. It is because he's first out on track, but still not a terrible lap so far from Rick. We see him being a little bit cautious with some of these turns, though. I think that's going to cost him a bit of time.
Yeah, he's not using all the track, and as you've heard professional racing drivers that go to street circuits say, you've got to be kissing the walls to be going quick. You can't afford to leave a foot on the exit of these corners. I'm expecting this to be a solid banker lap, but by no stretch setting no lap records on.
Yeah, he's missed the apex a few times, so at the very least he'll have a time on the board, but I wouldn't expect anything too far up the order there for always Rick. I think behind him, Sprunky's on his out lap. Who's the other Haas over here? There's One Wing. So One Wing is on a lap as well, but he's on the soft tires, so it'll be interesting to see a little bit the pace difference between these two tire compounds.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be... I think the softs can go quicker, but they'll die a lot earlier, so I would aim to start on the mediums, but as we've seen in Division 4, the track will rubber in, so I'd be aiming for a mediums run maybe 3 minutes from the end of the session.
Surprisingly, One Wing going slower than Always Rick. So Always Rick still getting a good banker there on the mediums. Quickly outdone by Bacher in the McLaren, but Bacher is a good qualifier. So expect to see him near...
Lap.
Sorry?
That was a mighty lap by Bacher, nearly a second and a half quicker. That was something special.
Absolutely. I still am unsure if it's the right time to use the medium tires if you intend to start the race on them, but... we'll have to see. Azen going P1 there in the Mercedes, running out of VRS just a little bit before the start-finish line. But if you're on hot lap mode, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. Getting a good provisional pole, the 135.9. Expect to see some more times than the 139s as this track rubbers up and starts to get faster and faster with the track evolution. Monkeys is on a lap on the mediums as well.
Bacher is going again by the looks of it.
Could be 2 laps on the mediums. It's not a bad idea. It gives them a good 1 lap to rubber in, and then another lap where they're at peak optimal temperature. Sometimes they don't quite get up to temperature in a single lap around this circuit.
I think it's very interesting the tactics that are going on in this qualifying session actually. You can see some of the top championship runners such as Richie and Bumblebee, Craigo, that are staying inside the pits at the minute on the mediums, waiting for some of the other drivers to go out and lay some rubber. Well, you've got other drivers like Backer that you'd expect to be going for that pole position that have gone out very early and maybe risked it.
Yeah, and it's I guess these guys that really do want to start the race on the medium compound tire, opting to not you wear them out on a very green track as they call it. Taking you through the points very quickly here while we've got a little bit of time in qualifying. F1 Richie currently leading the championship with 282 points. Aizen, 237 points. So he is in P2 there, trying to claw some of that lead back. Bumblebee, he's had an amazing run this second half of the season with 3 wins, and he's managed to get himself out of the bottom 10 into third in the championship, 220 points. He's got a legitimate shot here with 4 races, if you count this one, remaining to make a bout for that title. Craigo, Richie's teammate, 4th place, 195 points. Bacher, P5 with 187 points. Sprunky, 161 points in P6. CJ Butch, 132 points in P7. Sunic, who used to be a little bit higher, has dropped off with a couple of retirements lately. 129 points. P8. Monkeys has held in around 10th place much of the season. 115 points in P9 right now. And then your 10th place, he's not on the grid today, so that might change yet further after this race. Chris at P10, 107 points, and the 2 racing points have essentially swapped position in the standings as the season has progressed. Chris was an early championship contender. Monkey Mafia, 107 points in P11, and then Maverick, 106 points, P12. Cozy, 98 points, and after that tapers off a little bit with Ix, Always Rick, Hartman, One Wing, Doomsray, Extreme Pascal still in this championship. A few of them have missed some races, which explains them falling down this order, but we still have a lot of guys who could still fight for that championship win on the grid today. Richie, Aizen, and Bumblebee especially, and I'd be curious to see what Bumblebee can do today. He had amazing pace last week out in Zandvoort, qualifying P3 on the medium tires. And he hasn't been out to set a lap yet, but I believe he is now. Yeah, this is his push lap, so we're going to ride on board with Bumblebee here.
Yeah, it wasn't a massively strong first sector, nothing coming up purple, but that does not mean it's not going to go first, as Aidan did get that time on a set of softs, and you wouldn't be expecting a medium to go quicker than a soft over one lap anyway.
No, I would be thinking probably to expect somewhere in the 136s here for Bumblebee. But if he can get anywhere in the 135s, that would be absolutely great for him. Aizen did set that lap a little bit ago, so the track could have gripped up and rubbered in enough since then. 103.5 through Sector 2, that's enough for fastest Sector 2 according to the game. And as he's heading into this very tricky, tight Sector 3 there, lots of right, left, right turns as you split there under the grandstand and back onto the public streets, and then you go back onto the circuit here for the penultimate 2 corners.
This is looking very tidy, very clinical, and very clean. Maybe not the fastest driver on track, but definitely
P3 again out-qualifies Bacher, but CJ Butch had a good lap himself and got up into the top 3 on the front row there on the softs. F1 Richie starting his lap. Do you want to take us through this one?
Yeah, F1 Richie coming up into turn 1 and 2, trying to hug it tight, apex for 3, nice and wide on the exit, tight on the power, no slide, late on the brakes, late apex, on the power early, right up against the wall, early on the DRS, down Raffles Boulevard. You want to hug the inside wall, come out all the way to the right before late on the brakes at the 75-metre board, apexing. Again, another short right 90-degree hander, coming up to another left 90-degree hander onto a short straight, coming up to the old Singapore slingshot that has now been somewhat simplified. But you want to be close to the orange side of the wall, that's not there to scare you. This is a very tight section, very tight on the power there.
He's leaving a little bit too much room on some of these apex here. It's gonna cost him some time there at the line.
It's looking very tidy though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes speed can be a very manipulative thing in concept of riding on board with a driver. You think it looks very lethargic, very calm, very tidy. But they're some of the most quick laps. And that's what I'm seeing from F1 Richie, a very controlled champion's drive, if you like. He's not wanting to put the car in the wall, he's just wanting to solidify maybe that third place ahead of Bumblebee, somewhere in the top 10, so he can settle down into a long race tomorrow.
He does need a few championship drives, as you say, if he wants to hold on to this championship. He does go P5, and that is where he normally qualifies, but he is on the medium, so a lot of room for improvement. Sprunky behind him, though. P1 with a 135.1, and that's 8/10 clear of Azen, so Azen's going to want to get back out there and set a lap. Actually, he is on a lap right now, approaching, actually well into Sector 3. And 4/10 up on his time, according to this in-game telemetry. Can he improve? No, he's going to hit the wall there. Hopefully that's not going to affect him too much. Doesn't look like he picked up any damage through the penultimate 2 corners as you chuck it in there onto the start-finish straight. And Azen's going to beat his time, but that's not going to be enough to get ahead of Sprunky. 135.2 for Azen. That's 7/10 quicker than his previous qualifying time, but not good enough to beat ISRL Sprunky there. And Sprunky is going to stay in provisional pole for the time being.
Astunis is on a lap, and his first lap was very scruffy. He didn't go very well. Let's hope he can improve, because he's an outside chance for the championship. He's 5th with if he can pick up an odd win here, and they're in the last 4 rounds, he could be right there as well. So
if you're going, if you're going to challenge for the championship now, you essentially have to close up the season perfectly, unless you're already leading. And
going quickest.
You do have to finish off this season perfectly. He was in a great position. He has some unfortunate DNFs recently that have certainly hampered him. But there's some wing damage there that's going to hamper as well. But luckily, he is close to the start-finish line. That's an error you can afford to make in qualifying. That's not an error you want to be making during the race, though, as that would force an early pit stop.
Yeah, he's purple in sector 1 and 2. Let's see how close he can get. I think that last sector's really killed him, hitting the wall.
P8. That wing damage certainly did not help, especially through that flat-out last set of corners where you absolutely need all the downforce you can get. Craigo is going to improve his time to 136.9. That's P8 on the medium. So still a few guys opting to take those mediums. Cozy starting his flying lap right now, but he's on the softs. And let's take a look at the best lap times there. And you see 4, 5, 6 on the medium tires. P8 Craigo as well on the mediums. And then a few guys outside of the top 10 who might want to give it a go on the soft tires, because they're going to end up starting on the on choice of tires anyways if they start outside the top 10.
From the looks of it, Koji seems to have really got the measure of a student this weekend. Singapore, he seems to be more consistent. He seems to have a bit of time in his pocket, so it's looking really positive for the AlphaTauri team this weekend. If both of them cars can get a good strategy together, they could be challenging for top 5.
Yeah, for sure. Luckily for Chris, he has joined before qualifying, so we've got 17 cars into this race. One Wing has retired. He's happy with that session. Probably does not have enough time to get around the track and set another lap anyways.
Yeah, I think One Wing will be a little bit disappointed in that, as he went quicker in Division 4, but it's all still to play for. I think he proved that he's staying in a race can really get you points, and anything can happen on race day, so
it certainly
I don't think he'll be too disheartened.
Yeah, certainly was not the ideal lap for One Wing, but if the guys below him don't improve, a P12 is not a bad starting position.
No, I always say P11's almost perfect if you can't get into the top 10 on the mediums.
Absolutely. You get free choice of tires, but you're close to the guys in the front, and everybody ahead of you usually will have worn tires. So it's great news if you do end up qualifying near that top 10. It's a poor man's pole position. P11, P12 is close enough to it as well. Always Rick is coming around, but I don't believe he's on a hot lap. Zabajika is, however, he's coming around to the line now. Is he going to improve? He will. Goes P9 and gets himself there into the midfield. That's a good lap for him. Monkey's starting his lap, and that's on the softs. So we'll see if he can improve as he starts now with 1:45 left in qualifying.
He's in real trouble here. Astunik's done a lap and it wasn't very good, and he's now looking like always Rick. He could knock him out. Always in the pit lane. So Hartman and Monkeys are the only threat now to Astunik Gaming.
Hartman needs to get a move on and set a lap. He's not done so yet, but he is out on track right now. I do think he's on his out lap there if he is still in this session.
Monkeys isn't improving currently. He's 0.03 down. A very minuscule amount of time, but it's looking tidy. It's not over yet. Good apex there. Coming up to the Singapore swing. He kisses the wall on the inside.
And where's Aizen? There he is. And Aizen, yeah, trying to beat Sprunky. Can he get back to the start-finish line there in time? He's just got to improve by 1/10 if he wants to steal pole position.
Just gone purple.
Sorry?
ISRL Monkeys just went purple in 6-2 according to the game.
We'll look at that very soon there. I'll flip down to him as he's coming through the final few corners. And on the softs, can he improve his P11 as he keeps it pretty tidy there through that last chicane? Onto the main straight away. What's it going to be? It's a 136. It's a 136.8, so he does improve. Goes P8 for Monkeys. Can Aizen improve? He starts his lap just in time there. You saw the time at the line. 2 seconds left. And he's going to be the last car to set a lap here. CJ Butch is coming into the pits, will not be improving his lap time. Is Bacher, he's at the other side of the track. Doomsray is done as well. Oh. Bumblebee is done.
Aizen's currently not 6 up on his Delta. This is looking impressive. Sprunky on the medium, he won't have a response. He lost some time out of there.
Sprunky has invalidated his lap, will not be completing this one, will not be improving either. And Aizen, who is on a flyer at the moment, and can he beat Sprunky and earn himself another pole position? No, he's going to hit that inside wall, cutting it too close. That's going to be the end of Aizen's qualifying session there, taking just a risk too many. You see that car spin off into the runoff. He was on a good lap, but
half a second up.
Just pushing a little bit too much, and that's going to end up with him starting P2 at best here. Bacher is very much up on his lap, and he's going to improve to P3 with a 135.4. So Bacher getting himself there on the second row of the grid. Is Monkey's on a lap, but I believe he's not pushing. And is that going to be the end of qualifying? No, I think Zabajaka is on a lap, and he's coming towards the start-finish line. And if the Delta is not lying to me, he's up on his time. And that's the second lap in a row on those tires. And he does improve to P7. But now he's going to start on 3-lap-old softs. And the softs do drop off rather quickly around this circuit. But with that,
to get about 4 laps out of them.
Yeah, he's going to have to pick quite early, but with that, I believe qualifying is going to be over here. Everybody has set their lap times, and the grid is ready for this Singapore Grand Prix. We just got about a minute there until these guys retire from the session, and we'll get right ahead with our race director. But good qualifying session there. Mushroom, do you have any predictions now that you've seen this starting grid?
I expect Aizen to pressure Sprunky at the start, with Bakker and Butch. And then I expect Bumblebee and Richie on the mediums to come through maybe like 5 to 10 with extra pace. But the person that I think's really out of place is Chris. He's dropped dead last. He's strong in the championship. He's got good pace, and he's gonna have to fight his way through. So hopefully he can keep that Force India out of trouble and get some good points.
Yeah, the word on the block is that he might be fighting a hangover right now, and that will not help his qualifying pace. But your grid: Sprunky, Azen, Bakker, your top 3. CJ Butch and Bumblebee, your top 5. On the 4th row of the grid is F1 Richie and Zabi Jaka in the Renault. Cozy and Monkey sharing the 5th row. Craigo and Astunik, 10th and 11th. Always Rick is 12th, and I'll read down the rest of that order as soon as we get loaded up into the Singapore Grand Prix. We've got 27 laps of action coming up, and it's going to be an exciting race indeed. We're gonna get loaded up right here and just read down the rest of the order. As these guys are going to take a minute or two to get ready. Now, one second here. There you go. So, race strategy for this Grand Prix. You touched on it a little bit earlier. We do have a few guys in the top 10 on the medium tires, and if there's an early safety car, that could hamper their pit strategy quite a bit because the hards last a while around this circuit. So, could we see? Do you think any of those guys on the mediums get off those tires early and react to maybe some of the soft runners pitting?
I expect we could get something like that, possibly. But I think you'd expect a soft runner to jump maybe early, because these soft tyres are terrible. They don't last very long. They're amazing for one lap, but over a race, they're not helpful. And I'd expect maybe a soft tyre runner to pit very early at a possible safety car, as it's a 2-stopper either which way you look at it, as the predicted strategy comes up. So
we're going to take a look here at the tire data.
Early.
I think Sprunky is going to try to keep it out late. He does have a tendency to make long stints on some tires, and we'll see here if that stays the case. But if Azen pits early, we could see Sprunky reacting to that. One thing for Azen, though, you saw him hit that wall there with the orange bollard. It was in qualifying, and it was a big impact. So maybe that could get in his head a little bit here.
If I'm Asian, I'm trying to forget about that mistake as quickly as that happened. But you need to also not forget about that mistake as well, because you do not want to do that in the race. That is a race-ruining accident. The fact it's happened early in the weekend is good for Asian, but he needs to be careful of silly mistakes like that, because he doesn't need one of them right now. He could really do with a clean run to the end of the season.
Gotta warm up those tires. We've got a couple medium runners there, Bumblebee and Richie. Look for them to go late into this race. And two guys with a lot of race pace starting near the front. That's always dangerous. It's Richie especially. He always seems to start in the 3rd or 4th row of the grid. And by the end of this Grand Prix, he is somewhere in those podium places. So could definitely see him improve during this Grand Prix. Same with Bumblebee, who's shown tremendous race pace the last couple of Grand Prix. And Zabi Jaka in 7th. He's kind of an unknown. We've never seen him race before.
I see Bumblebee and Richie like I see Sergio Perez in real life F1. They favour the alternative strategy most weekends. They start a little bit further down, but they normally make that tyres work. Sprunky has arrived on the grid a good 30 seconds ahead of everyone. That's his usual. Be beneficial.
Yeah, it's his usual formation lap strategy, and I'll be honest with you, I don't quite understand it. But if it helps him get in the zone, it helps him warm up, and it helps him get better starts, then who am I to judge, right? And
I have heard that the tyre temperatures save from the last corner when the computer turns over to take control. So if that's the case, I could see why he does it, because you'd ultimately leave the last corner on race ready tyres like you've just done all racing laps. So maybe he knows something we don't.
Maybe he does. We're getting ready for the restart here, or for the race start, not the restart. It's 3, 4, 5 red lights, and in Singapore, they're off, and it looks like an okay reaction there from the top 3, but there's some shuffling in the back, and there's a Red Bull.
Red Bull
Something
round.
has happened back there. There's a Williams spinning turn 1, and what's happened here? There's chaos. Absolute chaos. I'm having trouble finding myself in the tracker.
Hartman round.
Looks like Hartman got involved in an incident early. Looks like One Wing might have spun out as well. CJ Butch has been involved in an incident, but there's no safety car, and it looks like everybody is still running okay. Sprunky P1, Azen P2, they made it through the first couple of corners all right. Bumblebee has managed to work his way up to P3 after a good start. Same with F1 Richie. That does help. That's CJ Butch, and has been spun out there off the start, and gives them a free position there. Zabijaka has lost positions on the start, and other than that, looks like the grid stays mostly the same, but already early on in the Singapore Grand Prix, we've got chaos.
Yeah, we've got big damage for people like the Maverick, One Wing, Hartman, Butch. I think Chris may have got through that alive. If Chris has got through that without any damage, that's great for him. That also elevates him past CJ Butch, who has qualified second, or high up on that agenda. I think this is really interesting right now. You've got Bumblebee and Richie also making places. So that now leaves Bumblebee to chase Aiden. A second and a half off the back of him. This is where it becomes interesting.
There's a yellow flag in Sector 3. That's Hartman having a moment under the tunnel there. Is Sprunky sets fastest lap. Does say DRS enabled. That's not the case. We're only on lap 2 here. And these guys falling through mostly okay. I think we're going to see some pit stops here, but less than I expected, as only Maverick is jumping the pits, as well as Hartman. Now, Sprunky has a decent lead off Azen, off Bumble. You see Richie there in the background as they file through onto Raffles Boulevard. And already some gaps starting to spread, but this track has very powerful DRS, and it has 3 of them. That zone down Raffles Boulevard, the most powerful of them all. It is the longest, and expect to see some overtakes here, so long as these guys can stay close to each other through the slow section. Looks like there's a bit of a train starting to form behind Cozy, maybe more behind Bacher, as these guys at the front starting to break off just a little bit here. We've managed to get through.
Bottleneck.
Yeah, we managed
to Rick don't seem to be keeping. I think it's because Craigo's mediums haven't fired up yet. He's struggling. He's looking a bit skirmishy.
Yeah, it could be.
In the wall.
Could be. Hartman having some more troubles outside of the pit entrance. And you're right, I think it might be just piling up behind Craigo rather than Bacher or Cozy. Bacher actually now looking at a move on Cozy. Cozy, I think, has made a mistake. And Bacher getting ahead. That's a nice move, working his way around the outside and capitalizing on a quick mistake there from Cozy. And Bacher moving himself back up into P5. Now Cozy's got to fend off Craigo. And Craigo's hungry. He's got always Rick behind him. You're not going to get ahead taking penalties like that, though. And these guys are going to have to be careful, or else the penalties will pile up rather quickly. Look at that. It's going to be behind them. Is the Williams of Always Rick going to attempt a move? Don't think they will. Craigo thought about a move there into the corner. He's going to end up going deep here. Is Always Rick going to go for the move? He is. Look at them side by side as Craigo moves back, and a little bit of wheel contact there. There's a yellow flag behind. That's the racing point of Chris. It was spun in turn 1. I don't know if that was self-inflicted or not. Monkey's now having a move for on Always Rick. Thought about it, but did not brake late enough. Always Rick's going to keep that position in the corner. And who's that that's had a moment?
Or Toro on the track map. It was, I think it was Cozy.
It was. Yeah, Cozy has had a moment there, and I think CJ Butch might have had a bit of a moment too. Cozy with wing damage, that's going to necessitate a pit stop. That was a hard word to get out. And with that
Bumblebee
level,
in a second.
yeah, with that level of downforce loss, he's gonna have to pit. You're right, Sprunky, for briefly there, getting a second over Aizen, and that gap has been brought down. Bumblebee look right on them despite the medium tires. So these two at the front, they're on the softs, but the softs don't last too long around this circuit, and I think we're getting up to the point where they're starting to degrade.
We've got a Renault round. I think that's Yavi Shaka.
Yeah. And he has spun, and is that wing damage? It is. So some more damage, but still no VSC, no safety car here in Singapore, despite a couple of spins and a bit of some debris on the circuit. But we keep racing under green, and it's a long race, so sorry about that. I do hope that these drivers don't give up just yet. Bakker with a 5-second for speeding in the pit lane. That's not going to help his race at all. Did Bakker have damage?
It's possible.
He is.
But,
he's changing his front wing. Must have hit the wall without us seeing.
Yeah. Right, so Bumblebee's working really hard here. He's only got about 25% ERS, but he is keeping with the lead 2 on the softs, who are looking like they're struggling now. I only see it being a lap or 2 before he moves past Asian. He's worked really hard to build the gap from Richie, so he's not under pressure from behind and he can just attack the 2 leaders. Yep. And he's looking really strong now. This is race winning potential from Bumblebee at this point. Early pressure like this makes all the difference.
Without a doubt, that Racing Point looking strong. I did just notice a comment, Mushroom, in our stream asking if you could just try to make your mic just a little bit louder, so we hear you better over the game sound.
Oh no!
Oh no! And Bumblebee, there goes all that work, all that progress, as he goes deep, collects the wall, and that's going to be an early pit stop off the medium tires and to change his wing. And that getting off the medium tires this early in the race definitely puts a hamper in whatever pit strategy he had planned. It's a little bit too early for the hearts to go all the way and still have pace, and it's obviously too early as well to go for that medium soft 2-stop. So gonna see, he has to pit no matter what tire he puts on. We'll see later as he struggles to stay within the 2 white lines there for the pit entrance. That means Krago inheriting P3 as Sprunky pits as well, reacting I think maybe to Bumblebee losing his front wing and trying to undercut Aizen from ahead of him and get a better gap. Richie, 3.8 seconds behind Aizen. He needs to step up the pace just a little bit if he wants to contend with Sprunky after the pit stop, but he's definitely ahead of Bumblebee now. And Richie's teammate Krago giving on a good chase there in the second Ferrari, but he's got a couple of guys like Always and Monkeys behind him for company. Most of the soft runners have pit. When do you think we'll see these last 3 soft runners pit off of them? I think Mushroom might be adjusting his mic there, but I would say hopefully soon if I have to answer my own question. Mushroom, just let us know when you're back. And Krago through the bridge portion. This is the slowest portion on the racetrack before another short DRS zone, and he's got plenty of time around him. Monkeys is under pressure from Asunik, who's on the mediums compared to the soft. Same tire age though, and he's gonna have some defending to do in that Red Bull. And I do think I heard Mushroom's microphone there. Are you back with us? All right, awesome. Chat, let us know if that's better for his mic volume, and if not, we'll keep playing around with it. But as I was saying, Monkeys under pressure from Asunik there. Red Bull sister teams having a bit of a battle, but it's gonna be Monkeys in the pit to get off those soft tires. 6 laps. That's all they seem to be able to do, and in the pits early.
The Bumblebee mistake was a massive let-off for the leading 2 in Asian and Sprunky, but now Asian needs to not run too long. He could be undercut by Sprunky and possibly even F1 Richie at this point. He needs to not go too deep into this stint if he wants to have a chance in the remaining laps of this race.
Oh, and Chris is out of this Grand Prix, and has he retired in the pits?
Yeah.
He has retired in the pits, out of the points as well. That is a weird retirement for Chris. as he looked like he to be running okay. Maybe he got some wing damage there shortly after his pit stop. But an early retirement, and we've got our first DNF of this session. It's not going to bring out a safety car, though. And I put up the gap to leader here. Pit stop is between 20 to 25 seconds, depending on the racetrack. The gap from Sprunky to Aizen right now is 22 seconds. So Sprunky pitting early looks like he is going to be able to make that work and come out with a bigger gap. And if you're Aizen at this point, you don't want to be coming out or coming into the pit stop too late. That is going to severely affect your race, because even if you come out behind Sprunky, if you're coming out in traffic, or sorry, if you're coming out ahead of Sprunky, if you come out in traffic, you're going to get held up, and then he can catch up to you. And I think we're going to see Aizen pit here. So on to most likely the mediums, I would think.
I'm currently watching the race for 4th, 5th, and 6th very closely. And it looks like always Ricky's going to pit now. Stunik nearly followed him in there. That was almost a very rookie mistake, should we say. But now Doomsday on the hards. Let's see what the pace difference is between these two. They're very equal drivers on pace on race day normally. And this will determine normally the last of the points paying positions in the top 10. So let's see how Doomsday can fare with a few laps on these hard tyres now, and can he settle in and really start making inroads on the top 4 and pull himself into maybe a top 5 place later in the race, because he's in prime position. These tyres are going to go very long, and it will allow him maybe to do a one stop onto a medium if we get a safety car mid-race.
And Sprunky getting quite close there to his teammate. We're going to see some team orders from Haas, or some lost time from Sprunky. And does not look like any team orders here. Now One Wing's going to pull over, but he's not giving up just yet. And Sprunky with extra pace there, going to be able to get ahead.
That was a mature decision
of his teammate. Yeah, it definitely did not make it easy there, but Sprunky not losing too much time, getting ahead of his teammate. Always Rick is chasing Bumblebee, who's pit for the hards after fixing that front wing. He might be able to go all the way here, but he's got to take care of those hards.
Yeah, I'm not fully.
Ooh. They're both catching up to Bakker here. We saw Bakker make a little mistake there.
I'm not fully buying the Bumblebee on the hards thing. I think he will have to stop again, but if he does, it'll be for the soft tyres, and he'll be way quicker than anyone else on track.
Yeah, I think you can just
about keep it tidy and make some of that time back.
You can just about do 22 or so laps comfortably on the hards, I believe. They're not going to be great, but they're not going to pop either. And so he's just outside of that window.
I think that's the crucial thing. As long as they don't pop, you can defend around this track. It's a hard track to overtake as long as you can get the launch out of the corners onto the big DRS straight. I
don't know if you saw that right in the background. Always Rick picking up some wing damage on that wall as he hit it quite hard. I do hope that doesn't affect his performance around the circuit too much. He does, indeed. We've seen some more time penalties pop up. We'll take a look now at what they are. It looks like Bakker's got a 5 for speeding in the pit lane and a 3. Got a couple more 3s sprinkled about. Hartman and Sunik with 6 seconds, though.
We've got a Ferrari 1-2 up front with F1 Richie and Race winning position and Craigo behind. If I was Ferrari, I'd leave Craigo out a little bit longer to defend from Sprunky. This is a race-winning position now for Ferrari. They have 2 aces in that hand that they need to use them to the best of that ability. At the minute, they can now determine what happens to the rest of the field with both cars leading this race.
Yeah, a safety car right now would be wonderful for the 2 Ferraris. It would let them pit. Neither of them have pit right now, which is why how they got so far ahead. And if there was a safety car now, these guys would essentially get a free pit stop, potentially come out just a little bit lower, but still in the top 5, and get a nice big advantage out of that. There's some more battling on track. Aizen and One Wing going at it.
Driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Some good strategy there from the 2 Ferraris to stay out on the alternate strategy. Aizen going to be making the move on One Wing there, as One Wing doesn't defend too much, but I think he knows that he's going to lose time fighting that position. Right behind them, Bakker and Bumblebee. Now that are going at it. Bumblebee has managed to break away from Always Rick as the Williams taking some wing damage. You can see just how much that's affected him.
At this stage in the race,
we've got a yellow flag. That's the Renault of Zabijaka, who's not pointing quite the right way. And has he managed to get away? Somehow has gone away with no wing damage there. So a lucky recovery from the Renault.
Yeah, looking at this, Craigo seems to be the faster of the Ferraris though. Will we see a swap over and maybe prioritise one car's race pace over the other at the minute to see if they can get one, if not both of these cars onto the podium?
I don't
Craigo's
expect...
definitely looking faster.
I don't expect Richie to want to give the position up to Craigo. I don't expect Richie to do something dumb and hold up his teammate too much either. But the championship leader is going to have to basically decide what's best for his championship versus what's best for the team this race. And if he lets Craigo by, that's less points.
Richie and Craigo are good friends though, so they're not going to do anything stupid. And at the minute, it's early stages of the race. We're 9 laps into a 31-lap race. Yeah,
and Richie's going to pit here. And so that'll solve that issue, as Richie's going to dive into the pit stop. And that was a bit of a cautious entrance.
Sprunky nearly into the inside pit wall.
Sprunky is defending from a Sunic there, as he gave us an onboard. We get another onboard now. We see how close the AlphaTauri is, but drifting a bit wide. Sprunky still with no penalties. I'm sure he's going to be quite happy about that, because usually they do come to bite him more often than not, but he's kept that car very clean and a solid drive from Sprunky so far. Now hunting down Craigo with Aizen 2.5 seconds behind Sunic, who's a second behind Sprunky.
The Maverick in the wall.
Yeah, we could see Sprunky in a very good position no matter what happens. Maverick has gotten himself going again. No safety car still. And we've had a surprisingly little amount of VSCs or safety cars for, and by that I mean none.
Locked up and slid off as well.
Yeah, given the amount of debris on track.
It's looking a very low grip surface here. I've seen a lot of lockups and quite a few spins, so I'm not sure if they got maybe a track reset over qualifying to the race, but it's looking rather green at the minute, this circuit, and I'm seeing a lot of mistakes. It's almost like Portimao today,
it's
low grip new.
Some of these guys struggling there. I know personally in my practice the hards really did not feel that great after for the first couple of laps, and then they felt good for after 4 or 5 laps, and then they dropped off rather quickly. The mediums drop off rather quickly as well. So
Bumblebee's strategy seems to have worked.
Well, minus the putting it in the wall part.
Yeah, he's back within a second of Richie now. He's only lost the place to Richie, so he's now currently net 4 behind Sprunky and Aizen.
Yeah,
which would give him definitely, I would call it a happy feeling after putting it in the wall 4 laps in. That's a recovery.
If we take a look at gap to leader here, you'll see that they are over a pit stop away from our new leader here, probably after this corner, Sprunky, as he takes the lead there. Oh, he goes deep though. That's going to give Craigo a chance to fight back, and Craigo's going to be ahead now.
Precisely what F1 Richie would have wanted. This is brilliant from Ferrari. They have left one car out longer than the other to hold up the leaders that are on the other strategy. And this, now, he's going to be winning F1 Richie back a second every lap that this fight goes on. And you can see Sprunky understands this. He's all over the back of him. He's all over that gearbox, trying not to run into the back of him.
He's trying very hard to get by. I don't think Sprunky's even thinking of F1 Richie, though. His eyes are set on Aizen, who closed up dangerously during that battle against Craigo. About a second and a half now has shrunk the gap between Aizen and Sprunky, and Sprunky going wide has cost them much more than just some time on F1 Richie and Bumblebee and those on the alternate strategy. It's ended up costing him a lot of time to Aizen, who now himself is getting stuck behind Craigo, and he's
good news as well.
Yeah, I thought Aizen was going to be a little further back. I think Craigo's going to pit now, and that will give the position to Aizen quite easily. 1.9 second the gap between P1 and P2 here. Sunic, who has yet to, has he pit? No, he's yet to pit off those mediums there.
He's running well.
He's running quite well in P3.
Yeah, he's got no damage. He's picked up quite a few penalties, which is never good as a driver. If we look at his penalty count, which will be probably 9 seconds, which is not great, but he's running deep into this race, so he can get that 9 seconds back because he won't be in traffic. He's running now P3 with no one ahead of him and one wing behind him on equally old tyres, so I don't really see I don't really see a problem now for a Stunik. If he can carry on running a little bit deeper into this race and get onto a set of hards, he could have a one-stop in the pocket.
He will need to pit again. That will cost him some time. Trick is to time it perfectly. One Wing and Doomsray had a nice little battle there at the end of Raffles Boulevard, going into, I believe that was turn 7. So we've
Bumblebee and Bakker pitted.
Bakker, yeah, he has pit. His first pit stop was for wing damage, and Bumblebee has pit as well. And so another early pit stop. Another early pit stop for these guys.
Right, I think Bumblebee's chances of a top 5 are probably gone now. He's about a minute and 9 seconds away from the leader. Same with Bakker. I'm just wondering if them two have maybe come together or hit the wall pushing each other. It's very easy to do around here. The walls kind of suck you in. You get confident, and then you go too far and then you hit it.
Yeah, and as you get your groove around this track, you're tempted to take maybe just a little bit more of a liberty here and there. And as the Stunik pits, it's going to drop him, I believe, to P6. He should come out ahead of Richie. Oh no, I think Richie will come out ahead of him. Maybe even Craigo. I thought he was going to get moving in his pit box a lot earlier. And you can see there, he's going to be coming up right next to Craigo. He's got an awkward turn to do there coming out of the pit. So ahead of Always Rick, down to P8. It's going to be a Stunik, unless something happens in turn 1 here. And yes, Always Rick will take the position. But on the older tires, I don't think he's going to hold it for too long.
I think Stunik will take that off Always Rick rather quickly, but he had a really poor qualifying. I wasn't massively impressed, although I'm a Stunik fan. I wasn't massively impressed with qualifying, but this race pace, he's now pulling himself to be P5, P4 at the end of this race.
Harman and Bakker going at it.
Put him on the podium.
Yeah, Harman, Bakker going at it. Harman a little bit off the pace there as Bakker, with fresher tires after his second pit stop, makes easy work of that. And you'll see there through the midfield, their leaders are still quite spread out. Strength with a 2.9 second lead over Azen, who's got a little bit of wing damage. That would explain this gap increasing. One Wing, P3, he's done a good job there on the hards. He's not going to be going to the end, but he's in a good position, as well as Doomsray. Monkey's P5, who's running quite well for Red Bull there, and he's kept his nose clean. We haven't seen him pit for damage or anything yet. A bit of a mistake through that corner, but recovers the car and carries on. I don't think he lost too much time. F1 Richie and Craigo on the fresh tires chasing him, and they're catching up at a rate of knots there as Doomsray pits, and that should promote F1 Richie back into the top 5 there, and well on his way to hopefully catch up Sprunky and Azen by the time they pit again.
Yeah, let's give One Wing a bit of love. 11 places up from the start. Doomsday was 11 places up before his pit stop. Them two have had an amazingly quiet race. We've not seen them very much, but yeah, they find themselves pushing the top 5 most weeks on what is normally what the front 3 would call a bizarre strategy, starting like 17th on a set of hearts. And although they're a pit stop behind his front wing, he's not out of this race. If we get a safety car, he can pit and that'll be net 3rd. So I see One Wing season getting better and better. He's growing from strength to strength, and he's learning every week. And he's now put himself in a prime spot for a safety car mid-race to get a P3.
Absolutely. The two Alpha Towers right now are quite busy fighting the two Williams. Sunik fighting Always Rick, and then Cozy's got a handful of CJ Butch to deal with. And in both cases, one of the two has...
It's an interesting battle, that, isn't it?
Yeah, one team has the tire advantage in either battle, so it might even out there in the end. But fighting for the last 4 positions of the top 10, they've been getting closer and closer together every lap, as Sunik and Cozy catching up to Always Rick, but CJ Butch catching up to the 2 of them. And we're seeing now both teams catching up to pretty much within the same camera shot. And hopefully Always Rick.
I know he's a lot like Kevin Magnussen. He's a racer. He'll never give you anything.
Yeah, hopefully Always Rick holds them up just a little bit longer to cause Cozy and CJ Bush to catch up and get a nice 4-way fight. Ooh. But you saw there Sunik having a good run on Always Rick down that start-finish straight, was not able to make a move that I think got out of the slipstream maybe a little bit too quick, because it's a short, very short straight, and if you don't make the most of that run, you're not gonna get another run. And I think that's what happened there.
Cozy could be in trouble.
Gonna have another go down Raffles Boulevard, but yeah, Cozy is out of DRS range on his teammate. CJ Butch, however, not out of DRS range on him, and so he's gonna have to start pushing. But he's the only one out of the squad on the medium tires.
Cozy needs to lift and coast. He's got no battery left. He's 11% overtake to his use. He's got no DRS on his Stunik. He's currently sitting duck to Butch. The fact he's still ahead is credit to his driving.
Oh, it's not gonna matter now as Bush goes for a little 360 there. Good recovery to not hit the wall and quick reactions to get going again. But that's gonna cost him 6 seconds to Cozy. Not the mistake he wanted, and Cozy probably breathing a sigh of relief here as he can now do what you said and recharge his battery behind his teammate.
Yeah, that's a massive let off, because I seen Cozy going backwards there behind CJ Butch, but it's all a matter of keeping control, of being excited about overtaking the driver ahead, because you can't make a quick rash mistake, because if not, you're going to be in the wall, you're going to spin, you're going to make a mistake. So I think we've seen that a few times where drivers just got over eager coming out of that hairpin and they just lit it up and it's gone round.
You could see the dirty air affect Sunik there through the penultimate corner, and he going very wide, losing some time to Always Rick.
Closer now.
But yeah, he is. He managed to recover quite a bit down Raffles Boulevard. Oh, and some very aggressive defending from Always Rick. But Sunik going to manage to put that car down the inside regardless. Always Rick's going to have to yield here. Elbows out for the both of them. And Always Rick getting a little bit too aggressive on the throttle. You saw him wiggle that rear end about. But Always Rick, was that one move? I know that with the bend in that track, that I think legally he was entitled to do that, but definitely some aggressive defending from Always Rick.
That was right on the limit. I'm not going to say that was illegal, because the track does bend. It's like Imola. It's a very much Bottas-Russell situation. I think Stunik did well to stay out of the back of him. That was really rather close, and a heart in the mouth moment for both drivers. It wouldn't be a defence I would have gone for. Very robust and shoulders out, but right on the limit of what was allowed. But Stunik will remember that. The driver will remember that.
Definitely think he kept it within the confines of the rules, at least from the angles we got. But of course, with the onboards, our view of that might change. We'll see those probably after the race, but I don't think that was anything too bad. Cozy's going to pit now.
Very Verstappen-esque.
Yeah, he's got wing damage again. And I don't know. Oh, no. Cozy's going to hit the pit wall. I think he understeered right into it. And that wheel's just going to pop off and cause the VSC.
Yeah, virtual safety car. That I was about to get excited and say that really helps one wing for P3, but he's at the other side of the circuit.
It will help him.
For a worse time for the leader.
Yeah, it will help him at least recharge a bit of ERS. Unfortunately for Cozy, I'm not sure what happened there. It looked like he ever so slightly just clipped the side of the wall, and you know, with this game's physics, how it can be, just ended the wrong way for him. Very unfortunate for the AlphaTauri driver, and I'm sure that was not the race he wanted here in Singapore. Craigo.
He still gets points though.
He
Maybe
might.
not,
No, he's not, because Doomsray's going to pass him. He's going to finish P15. Either way, he's not going to be classified. He's not completed 90% of the race distance. Craigo is catching up to F1 Richie, and that gap now under a second.
Craigo's looked the stronger of the two Ferraris in the deeper part of this race. F1 Richie had a better qualifying for sure, but Craigo looks like he's got better pace. And if I was F1 Richie, I would let Craigo go at this point and just let him.
So I do want to point out something. Aizen has gone for his second pit stop, and look how far the two Ferraris are. Aizen's now good to go to the end. He's got fresh mediums on, and the two Ferraris are not even on the start-finish straight yet. This is going to be very close coming out of the pits. And what they're fighting, that's not going to help if they're fighting going into turn one.
They swapped positions. That was team orders.
Yeah, and
Richie
the two
just moved over.
Definitely thought that Aizen was going to come out ahead of the Ferraris there, but instead he comes out right behind the Monkeys, still ahead. I think the top three all have to pit. This could be a Ferrari 1-2.
These Ferraris are going to come under a lot of pressure. Aizen's going to be quick. And if it wasn't for the nose change at the pit stop, I don't think Aizen would have a chance, but...
Oh, that is true. Aizen definitely probably fixed his front wing. That would explain the lengthy pit stop and why he came out behind them. That's a 5 seconds added to your pit stops easily if you change your front wing. So it does explain why Aizen now 1.4 seconds, but he's gaining a lot on those medium tires. And with F1 Richie, we've seen him struggle with pace just a little bit there, as we saw how much his teammate caught up to him. I don't think Aizen's going to be behind F1 Richie too long, and I think the championship leader is going to get overtaken here.
He's catching quick, but F1 Richie needs to hold Aizen for one lap. He needs to let Craigo get down the road. If Craigo can get to Fallen Monkey, they can tow each other away from the Mercedes.
That's even better. I was going to say Craigo needs to just get that Red Bull between himself and Aizen, and at the very least, I think that might. No, that's not going to do anything because Monkeys is pitting, and so
it's not going to help.
Too little, too late there for Craigo, not able to get separation before the pit stop from the Red Bull, and Aizen is going to get by Richie.
That's tire advantage right there. Aizen was passing through the last corner. That was just pure speed. Like Aizen just stuck it down the inside in the last corner and held it. Like,
yeah, testament to Sprunky's pace here. He's pit again. He's come out P2, 3.8 seconds behind One Wing, and a fat 10 seconds ahead of P3. So Sprunky has been racing.
Leading his first race.
Yeah, amazing racing from Sprunky. One Wing, staying out very long there ahead of his teammate, and going to be leading his first race if he crosses the line P1. Sprunky's catching up quite quick though. Aizen already is caught up to Craigo as well.
Yeah, Aizen's looking very quick. I expect Aizen to come back at Sprunky, but now this is where One Wing has to make a choice. Does he pit for the soft tyres in 3 laps time and go to the end? Or does he stay out and act as a rear gunner for Sprunky and hope for the 1-2?
I think he's going to pit and just try to salvage a good position for him. He's done a decent number with some alternate pit strategies the last couple races and got himself quite a few good results. So it's another good race, a string of good races for One Wing has definitely come back from the likes of the start of this season. Now look at Aizen getting a good run on Craigo, and that's going to be easy pickings for the Mercedes. Just much better run down the start-finish straight, and so long as he doesn't go deep here, he's going to take the position, and now he's got to just chase down Sprunky, but I have to think it's too little too late here. Sprunky with an 11-second gap.
Yeah, Sprunky now within a second of One Wing. I expect One Wing to move over on the run up to the Singapore Sling, if not before that. But with an 11-second gap and 11 laps remaining, as long as... Why is One Wing defending Sprunky? What's going on?
Maybe One Wing not getting the memo that his teammate is the de facto leader of the race, or maybe he thinks he's going to go to the end on those hard tires, and if he does think that, he better be prepared for some solid 10 laps of defending, because I don't think he's going to be able to keep his teammate back.
This is not good for the team.
It's good for Eason, I'll tell you that. It was caught up about a second there in that fight, but Sprunky getting ahead of One Wing down the end of the straight onto Raffles Avenue, and ahead into the lead of the race once more.
Right, One Wing now needs to only lose a second a lap to Asian, and he'll be okay. He'll keep second place. But he needs the help of Sprunky. He could do with the DRS. He needs to try and stay with Sprunky now. It's a big order, but oh, he's pitting. That drops him 5th, 6th, 7th.
Yeah, in terms of penalties right now, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all have 3 seconds. That's good for Richie, who might jump his teammate if he can stay within that 3-second gap. Sunik is going to be dropping down probably to close to Monkeys. He's got 15 seconds. But those are 5-second penalties, I think, so potentially could get some of those appealed as he pits again. The rest of the field looks like 3 seconds all around, with a couple of more penalized guys further down the pack, but I think their gaps are going to be big enough that it's not going to affect them too much. Craigo up 7 positions since the start of this Grand Prix. F1 Richie up 2, Always Rick up 7. That's a great run there for the Williams, ahead of his teammate as well. His teammates lost 2 positions, but he had that early incident. He's done a great job recovering up to P6. One Wing up 7 positions, and I have to commend him for that drive, staying out so long on the hards there. Monkey's up a spot from his grid start. Maverick has gained 2, but I don't think they came the way he wanted them to, and everybody else has either stayed put or lost some ground. Bacher, probably worse than most there, 7 positions lost after that good qualifying session. He's now in P10.
Let's talk about how such a good race at the start for Bumblebee, running P3, looking like he had the tyre advantage, has turned into a bit of a disaster of a weekend for him, really. He's running P9, it's not going to help him get closer to his championship rivals as they're running 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th.
This one's interesting. One Wing on the softs, and those tires are going to hurt at the end of this race. I'll tell you that. There's 10 laps left still, and he's got to make those softs last until the checkered flag. Will they last? Maybe. Will they be fun to drive? The last 3 or 4 laps? Absolutely not. And he's going to have pace now, maybe even steal a fastest lap or so. He's closing up on CJ Bush now and thinks about going for a move down the inside. He's lucky CJ Bush gave him room there because he did not have to. That was a late move for One Wing, but he does get the position. And in such a situation, maybe just to be a bit more patient, but because if that was somebody else, that could have ended badly. CJ Bush doing a good job giving room down the inside.
CJ Butch is one of the most respectful drivers to overtake on the track. If that was someone like Sprunky or Asian or even Always Rick who he's coming up to, we've seen how Always Rick will defend to the very last with a Stunik. Now this is going to be a hard overtake. If you go too early and do something like that with Always Rick, there's a good chance you're going to lose that front wing, and then your hard work all undone and you lose 22 seconds plus a pit stop. You know, you've got it's risk reward in F1, I think, for your overtakes.
That's the way it goes. There's some fighting there going on in the back between Asunik and Zabijaka, and saw those positions swap over a little bit as we're riding with the Monkeys Bumblebee fight.
Half a second.
Yeah, he is. We were looking at that, and I saw the driver ticker change a little bit there between Zabijaka and Sunik. It looks like Zabijaka getting past the Alpha Tauri, but the Alpha Tauri's not done yet. It's got DRS down the straightaway. Gonna try to go the long way around. Thought about it. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2, and that's Hartman, who's had an accident.
One Wing is now back within half a second of Always Rick, so let's see how this one plays out. Always Rick, one of the most aggressive defenders on the track as we've seen earlier with the Stunik. Are we going to see that same defensive move on Raffles Boulevard?
We're going to see here DRS 2/10 the gap, and that he thought about it, and then always Rick, you saw that you saw he took that ideal line there as he's inching one wing back towards the wall, but did give a car's width of room there on the outside. That was completely okay, but one wing just not wanting to stick that car in that gap because I think it was just narrow enough that things could have gone wrong quite easily. He's now going to have another chance here as we get to the second DRS zone on this circuit after Anderson Bridge. It's turn 13 right now. Could get a better camera angle than that. There you go. He now starts chasing down the Williams.
How always Rick has defended. It has been so on the edge and so close to what's allowed.
He knows the rules. I'll give him that. And he's working within them. I haven't seen any illegal block or dangerous block. He just positions his car very nicely, and he knows that he's allowed to move to defend, and he's allowed to move to rejoin the apex or the ideal racing line, so long as he gives respect to the other car and gives them room if they're close enough. It looks like all this respect, though, not going to matter if they're going side by side through turn 1. There's some wheel contact. Always Rick's going to go deep. He's going to take a penalty for it. One wing doing a great job not losing that. That's an ambitious move to go side by side through there. It's a corner that very much funnels in on itself as you chuck it into 6th or 7th gear around that flat out left-hander almost. You just barely lift about 10% of the throttle and you carry on. And that's what they both tried to do, and it almost ended badly for One Wing.
I'd quite like always Rick's penalty to be
down the inside. Now One Wing, sorry to interrupt, but One Wing forcing it down the inside at the end of Raffles Boulevard. Again, a little bit of wheel contact, but I think that was all fair game. As always, Rick trying to just squeeze the apex ever so slightly, and that's going to be One Wing ahead of him.
Yeah, I think if you squeeze the apex like that, you're always going to come off worse anyway. You're just going to get pushed out wide. I think the bigger one, though, for me, would be the penalty that always Rick got. I don't think that was personally his fault. Yeah, he ran wide and extended them track limits, but he was also given not much choice.
That's true with Sunik. Again, trying to move on Zabijaka, and Zabijaka was an excellent work to hang around the outside multiple times against the AlphaTauri and keep the position going. And every time you think that AlphaTauri is getting past the Renault, it seems the Renault's got a little bit more grip and just a little bit more pace to hang around a tough corner and keep the position. He's been trying to get P10 now for about 3 or 4 laps, and every time he gets by, the Renault takes him back on a corner or two later. Very, very tough matchup here in the back of the pack.
Yeah, if we look at this now, we've got One Wing gaining on F1 Richie. He's about 4 seconds away from him. Are we going to see One Wing actually breach the top 4 now? Is he going to be able to keep that pace for another 5-6 laps and actually make that inroad onto the podium, or are we going to see them tyres die away and him slowly fall back into the clutches of always Rick, CJ Butch, and maybe even Bumblebee if he can get a move on?
Yeah, I don't think for a second here that One Wing's tires are going to last long enough to make a move for Richie. He might get close though. But I think those tires are going to drop off before any serious move can be made. CJ Butch is catching up to his teammate, isn't he? Oh, Bakker's out of this race. That's in the pits, though, and not going to trigger a safety car or anything.
Hopefully not.
He should be okay there in the pits. He did retire manually, and I think at best we're going to get a safety, or not a safety car, but a yellow flag and carry on. It would have come out by now. The two Williams looks like they're about to have a little bit of a scrap, and it's going to be CJ Butch versus Always Rick on those mediums.
It's raining.
20 laps. It is rain. Oh my goodness! And I did not expect that for a second.
6 laps left. 4 laps left.
Six laps to go if you count this one. Our leaders started lap 26. A lot of these guys still in lap 25, and there is a bit of rain now.
It's raining hard now. It's not like drizzle. This will make the track wet and slippery.
And will it be wet enough?
On the road.
Will it be wet enough for Inters by the end of this Grand Prix? That's the question all of these drivers are asking. Now, you know what? One Wing's tires are going to be great at this moment because he's going to be able to keep heat into them much, much easier. And here late in this Grand Prix, what's happened here?
Always Rick has spun.
Always Rick has spun. And I think that was far enough away from everybody else that there would not be a safety car, but 18-lap-old hard tires. CJ Busch on 20-lap-old hard tires. They're going to be struggling in this rapidly cooling track.
Okay, we've seen this in real life F1. Sprunky is going to be the first to arrive at every situation. This track is going to be greasy, it's going to be slippy and unpredictable. He needs to do everything to not lock up and slide into a wall. He needs to not pick up penalties.
And he just did pick up a penalty. And if we take a look at the penalties, it looks like it's 3 seconds. He's got a 13-second gap, so a lot of penalties to be taken before that affects him. He's done a great job putting himself in a very safe position. And with that big gap,
these tires going shiny.
and this track is getting wet very quickly. And with such a big gap, Sprunky has the luxury of waiting until Aizen pits, because even if he just pits a second later, oh, big moment there from One Wing. If it's a lap later than Aizen, I don't think Aizen's going to make up a 13-second gap in a single lap on the Inters, even if they are the perfect tire. So he's got a lot of luxury here, Sprunky. He's got to wait for everyone else to make his move and not make any mistakes by being a little bit too eager. And that's going to be Craigo. First one to bite for the Inters is Craigo. I think he's hoping that if there's a safety car here, a spin, because of somebody getting caught out by this greasy track, that he's already on the right tires. And this is a big shakeup for this race.
And again, Sprunky's first on every situation. He's got the luxury of waiting.
They have to pit for Inters now. They have to pit for Inters. I'm on board with One Wing, and they're so slow around these corners. I think Craigo timed it perfectly. Everybody else
nearly spins.
Yeah, everybody else is gonna be a lap late, I think. Because look, they're piling in the pits here further back. What's happening here? Always Rick has had a problem. He blew right by the pit lane.
Yeah, he slid wide. It was greasy. He missed the pit.
Oh no, Hartman has had a problem as well. This track is so greasy, and we've got yellow flags everywhere.
One wing ground, One Wing's off. He's in the wall.
One Wing has had some issues. He's losing positions here. You can just see how quickly that track greased up. Now Craigo's on the right tires. He's probably the only one with grip right now, as everybody else is struggling.
Always Ricky's out. He's in the wall.
Always Rick is out, and there's a safety car. There's a safety car here.
Sprunky pits. Okay, so Sprunky's going to get onto the Inters with Aizen. This is going to allow Richie to get onto the back of him. But Richie's nearly been into the wall as well. This is chaos. This is
Always
exactly
Rick
what we want.
spinning out after the turn 1, 2, 3 complex there. Late safety car. These guys are gonna be under safety car for probably just a single lap. I don't even know if they're gonna have time to actually catch up to the safety car, because safety car is gonna come in, I think, at the end of lap 29.
The safety car, yeah, will come in after it's done one round of the circuit, maybe 2 rounds of the circuit. So this is going to be what NASCAR would effectively call a green-white checker.
Absolutely, and a lot of these guys, yeah, this gap isn't going to close too much, because I don't know if they're going to have time to catch up to the leader, but it's certainly going to help Aizen, certainly going to help F1 Richie, who does not have any penalties right now, if he can just get caught up. Wow, what a shakeup here this rain has brought. I was not expecting weather to come play a part in this Singapore Grand Prix, and the way these drivers have played their pit strategy, I don't think they were either.
One Wing just ran into the back of CJ Butch, and anticipation of getting into the pit lane. Not ideal. Let's hope he's not picked up any damage, because that would really ruin what has been a very good drive by him.
He has picked up damage, and but they're not going to fix that wing.
That might be wise. With only 2 laps left, can you hold it out to keep that 8th place? Maybe. It's a chance. This
has helped Bumblebee massively. He's got no penalties, and is coming out in P5. And I'm looking at where these guys are. The leader right now is on Anderson Bridge. Oh no, what's happened here? There's a Red Bull. That's Hartman under safety car having some trouble on the hard tires. He was not able to get back to the pits.
Right, this is getting very wet. Like, I'm watching the spray coming off these inches and saying, if the safety car doesn't have the drivers with him in the next lap or two, we could be looking at maybe full wet.
It's a classic monsoon season here.
This
Wooter's
rain is
saying
really
that
pouring.
One Wing's tires are going to fall off. Yeah, it's not going to matter much now as they are, yeah, quite rapidly falling, quite rapidly irrelevant as the rain started falling down this circuit. And now we've got probably just another lap with the safety car. I think is going to come in at the end of lap 29, so it should give...
Sprunky's struggling.
Yeah, should
He's struggling
give...
behind the safety car. I've watched him on board now for the last lap, and every time he turns it in or he hits the brake, the car seems to float across the surface for him.
Yeah, these drivers most likely using their dry setups and not doing a lot of tweaks to them. It's so late in the race that this rain has come out.
Asian is looking like he's got a far more responsive car. So I think Sprunky could be under a lot of pressure now. That hash doesn't look like it's liking this wet weather. This could be Sprunky's undoing. To no fault of his own, I think the monsoon conditions that have hit us with 4 laps remaining,
yeah,
is really going to be...
Sprunky's ran an amazing race right up until that late safety car, and he had a perfect gap. If it wasn't for a safety car, he was hands down the winner, and now it's all shaken up. The Ferraris are going to catch up this safety car queue. But a lot of these guys further down the field, Maverick won't, Doomsray and Hartman and Asunik won't, but I think the rest of the field might just be able to catch up. If we look at gap to leader, we'll see Doomsray and Hartman are a lap down. Maverick, anybody who's above a minute in gap right now, maybe even One Wing at 45 seconds, not sure if they're going to be able to catch up to this safety car queue. They're already halfway through the circuit.
Yeah. If you just ride on board with Asian on this stream, I think you'll be able to see just what every one of these drivers is going to be dealing with on this restart. The visibility is nothing. I expect someone to be involved in a collision at the start, just purely and simply because they didn't see the driver ahead.
I think that, I don't know what Richie's doing. He needs to get a move on here if he wants to catch up to the safety car queue. I was going to say whoever, these guys, Bumblebee, Richie, they're going to have a big pace advantage because of their tires being much warmer. But Richie's taking way too long, and he might have a delta right now. I think he might.
To tell Doomsray.
He might have a.
Doomsray's now in the middle of the lead fight.
Yeah, but he's a lap down. That's not going to matter. But yeah, F1 Richie I think has a delta right now because he's not catching up to this safety car queue.
No, F1 Richie's looking like he's struggling, but
yeah,
we've got Sprunky and Asian leading the race, and then we've got Doomsray in the middle of Craigo. That's not ideal for him.
If F1 Richie could have caught up to this lead pack here, he would have had the advantage. He's got no penalties, but I think maybe the game gave him a delta because everybody's queued up behind him, and they're not able to catch up to Sprunky, who's going to get started now. And Sprunky, I think that might be just a little too early because you're going to get slowed down by the game. And now he's going to be able to go, and it's going to be absolutely chaotic here at the start. There's a McLaren who's going to have some room. He's going to wisely let these guys go. Is Craigle going to make a move on Aizen into turn 1? Aizen's going to go deep there, and he's going to come out ahead just about. Don't know how legal that move was, as he took a lot of the runoff. But Aizen still in P2. Now Doomsray needs to get out of the way. You're not racing for these positions, and you're a whole lap behind anybody who you might be racing. Move out of the way and let these guys race. Behind them, Richie under pressure from Bumblebee. What a shame that these guys weren't able to catch up to this lead pack because they would have been. This would have spiced up the race. Craigo's in the barrier. Craigo's in the barrier, and Doomsray needs to move because he's absolutely hindering these guys, and I wouldn't be surprised if Doomsray may be making a mistake as a result. Monkeys is lagged out of the session, apparently, which is weird because he's right behind me.
I was just about to say Doomsray needed to move over because he was driving in Craigo, and just as that happened, Craigo locked up and went straight on, so... Personally, I think that wasn't very sportsmanlike from Doomsray, being almost a minute off the pace. a lap down.
I think the all-seeing eye has an incident that he needs to report. Aizen's getting very close to Sprunk. We're going to tune on to this battle. I think for the rest of the Grand Prix, 8/10 is the gap between the two leaders. You can see Sprunky. You said he might be struggling there. I think he is. Firetail in our chat saying Doomsray's ghosted anyways. Yes, but if when you're racing either in cockpit or TCam mode, if there's a ghosted car that goes through you, sometimes it takes up your whole screen. Just their faded out ghost can take up your whole stream, and it can absolutely throw you off. It can make you miss your braking points. It can it has caused spins before because it's so distracting to see a car phase in and out of your own. And so we have a rule in place, and these drivers should know it, that if you're lapped and on a safety car restart, you absolutely have to give way to the other cars that are on the lead lap, and that's not what Doomsray did.
Always Rick is out.
There's another crash in the back. Always Rick out of this session, and
Asian's now close. Asian's gonna have to. He's not even using overtake.
Craigo pitting as means that Bumblebee and himself are now fighting for P3. Aizen's got 11 seconds in penalties to Sprunky's 3. I think 5 of those came under safety car. That might get removed on the restart, but the extra 3 that he took on the restart is not moving, and so if he overtakes Sprunky, he has to hope Sprunky makes a mistake and gets another penalty. We're on the final lap now. You can see Bumblebee and Richie fighting. You can see Aizen and Sprunky fighting as well.
I'm just wondering how steady that Mercedes is in the wet. He's not been using that overtake mode since it started raining. Is Asian either hoping that this penalty is removed, or both penalties are removed, and he doesn't need to make this overtake, or has he missed his opportunity by not running the overtake mode when he was so close coming out of Rafael Goulart?
I think Aizen may have run out of opportunity now, but with the penalties, it wasn't going to matter much. We're on the last lap, and it looks like Sprunky's going to manage to hold on to a win unless something dramatic happens in these final corners. But what a race Sprunky has been running. Look how close Aizen is. And even if Sprunky makes a mistake and Aizen passes him...
pushing him through the last few corners.
Almost, isn't he? Aizen, you can see the pace difference. But even if he wants to win on track, it's going to be Sprunky getting the win. And despite the penalties, he hangs on, takes P1, and that's a win for Sprunky. What a race around Singapore. Behind them, though, Bumblebee has gotten past Richie, and Bumblebee is going to take the podium.
What a race from Bumblebee!
Bumblebee, what a recovery there. After breaking his wing early, he's going to recover to take P3. What a tragedy. I think, Monkey's in the back, absolutely losing the car after the start-finish line. Very lucky that the start-finish line is early on this racetrack, because if it was at the end of the straightaway, I don't think he would have made it long enough to cross it. But Richie, definitely think that he had a delta on that safety car restart, and it stopped him from catching up, because without that, I think we could have seen him fight for the win here, and it would have let Bumblebee as well get a good shot. But nevertheless, we've had an exciting race in Singapore.
The Maverick gained 9 places that race and should be driver of the day.
He could be. We'll see in a second. It's going to be One Wing, the in-game driver of the day. The drivers, of course, will vote for their driver of the week on sometime later this week once all 3 divisions have raced. We're going to take you down the finishing order, but we're not going to stick around for interviews exceptionally today. We're already running late because of the Portimao Grand Prix, and we want to get Division 2 started right away. So your finishing order, it's going to be Sprunky P1 there, and Aizen P2, Bumblebee P3 after starting 5th, dropping all the way almost to last, and recovering there. F1 Richie P4, CJ Butch P5, Monkeys going 6th to 9th, all the way up to 6th with a very nice drive as well. Maverick 16th to 7th, what a recovery from him after it looked like it was all over late in this race when he was, I think, almost a lap down. One Wing P8, Craigo P9, Sunik recovering to 10th there after an early pit stop. Zabijaka 11th in his debut. Doomsray 12th and Hartman 13th. Their lap down. Always Rick, Bacher, Cozy, and Chris, your DNFs this Grand Prix. And that's going to be the end of round 13. We're going to be live again very, very, very shortly for Division 2. And after that, Division 3, as the schedule is running a little bit more condensed this week, thanks to the Portugal Grand Prix in real life. And we'll thank you for everybody who's watched. Mushroom, I don't know if you have any parting words before I end this broadcast, but now would be the time to say them.
Thank you for having me, and what an amazing race. I couldn't have asked for a better second commentary than rain 5 laps from the end in such an amount.
And yeah, the weather changing, absolutely making this a cracking race at the end. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in. Again, sorry to the drivers for no interviews, but we got to get Div 2 rolling right away and get this race day back on schedule. So, on that note, I'm ISRL Knight. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like this stream if you enjoyed this race. And check out our links in the description for our sponsors and our other social media pages. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you for Division 2 if you want to watch that. If you're just watching Division 3, we'll see you next week. And have a excellent rest of your day.